My name is Colonel Alexandra Sterling. I'm 32 years old, and I'm about to execute the most important mission of my military career. The target? My father's defense contracting empire, and the brother who stole everything from me. 5 years ago, I walked out of Sterling Defense Systems as the disappointing daughter who chose playing soldier over the family business. Tomorrow, I walk back in as the Pentagon's lead investigator for the largest defense fraud case in military history. They have no idea what's coming. The call came 3 weeks ago. Colonel Sterling, we need you to lead Operation Clean Slate. There's evidence of systematic fraud in defense contracts worth over $2 billion. Which company? I asked, though something in my stomach already knew. Sterling Defense Systems. Your father's company. The irony was almost poetic. For 15 years, Dad had dismissed my military career as a phase. My brother Marcus had taken over the company at 28, while I was deployed in Afghanistan, earning medals they never bothered to acknowledge. The army is for people who can't handle real business, Dad had said during our last conversation. When you're ready to grow up, there'll always be a place for you here. Well, I was ready now. Just not in the way he expected. The evidence was damning. For 3 years, Sterling Defense had been billing the Pentagon for military-grade equipment, while delivering substandard materials. Armor plating that couldn't stop a handgun, communication systems that failed in combat zones. Soldiers had died because of their greed. My hands shook as I read the casualty reports. Marines killed in Iraq because their bulletproof vests were made with cheap civilian materials. A Navy SEAL team compromised because their encrypted radios were actually basic commercial units with fake military certifications. My own people, my brothers and sisters in arms, dead because my family chose profit over protection. That's when this stopped being just another investigation. This became personal. I spent 2 weeks building the case. Bank records showing inflated invoices, whistleblower testimonies from factory workers, internal emails where Marcus joked about stupid military bureaucrats who don't know the difference. The most damning evidence came from Dad's personal assistant, Sarah, who'd worked for the family for 20 years. She kept copies of everything, every forged certificate, every bribed inspector, every covered-up quality failure. Your father changed after you left, she told me during a secret meeting. He became bitter, angry, said if the military wanted to steal his daughter, he'd make them pay for it. And Marcus? Marcus just wanted to get rich quick. He saw the military contracts as easy money. Said soldiers were too stupid to know they were being cheated. My blood ran cold. They weren't just stealing money. They were getting revenge on the institution that had taken me away from them. And soldiers were dying for it. The plan was simple. Tomorrow's board meeting was supposed to be a routine contract renewal. The Pentagon would send a junior liaison to rubber stamp another billion-dollar deal. Instead, they'd get me, along with a team of federal investigators, criminal prosecutors, and enough evidence to shut down Sterling Defense forever. But first, I had one more family dinner to endure. Alexandra! Mom's voice was artificially bright as I walked into the house I'd grown up in. Look who decided to visit. The dining room was exactly as I remembered. Dad at the head of the table, Marcus to his right, Mom playing peacekeeper. My old chair sat empty, like a memorial to the daughter who'd thrown her life away. Still in the army? Dad asked without looking up from his steak. When are you going to get a real job? I have a real job, Dad, Marcus laughed. Come on, Alex. You're 32 and you're still taking orders from other people. When I was your age, I was already running half the company. How's business? I asked casually. Incredible, Marcus beamed. We just landed the biggest military contract in company history. $2 billion over 5 years. The Pentagon loves us. That's wonderful, I said, cutting my meat carefully. What kind of equipment? Body armor, communication systems, vehicle plating, the works. And the best part? The military specs are so outdated, we can manufacture everything for half the cost and still meet their requirements. Dad nodded approvingly. That's business intelligence. Something you never understood. You're right, Dad, I never understood. How to cut corners on equipment that keeps soldiers alive. The table went quiet. Marcus frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just that military specifications exist for a reason. Oh, please, Marcus scoffed. Half those specs are overkill anyway. A bulletproof vest is a bulletproof vest. The military just likes to waste taxpayer money on premium everything. I set down my fork. Marcus, do you know what happens when a bulletproof vest fails? It doesn't fail. We test everything. Do you? Or do you just forge the test certificates? The silence was deafening. Dad's face darkened. Alexandra, what are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm asking a direct question. Are you actually testing the equipment you sell to the military, or are you just taking shortcuts to maximize profit? Marcus stood up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. You've been gone for 5 years, Alex. You don't know anything about our business. You're right. I don't know about your business, but I know about the military. And I know that when equipment fails, people die. That's enough. Dad slammed his hand on the table. You come into my house, eat my food, and then accuse us of... What exactly? I stood up slowly, my military bearing taking over. I'm not accusing you of anything, Dad. Yet. What does that mean? It means you'll find out tomorrow. I left without another word. Behind me, I could hear them arguing, trying to figure out what I meant. Let them wonder. Let them panic. They'd have their answers soon enough. Back at my hotel, I reviewed the operation one final time. At 0800 hours, I would enter Sterling Defense Systems in full dress uniform. At 0830, I would present my credentials to the board. At 0900, I would begin the formal investigation that would destroy everything my family had built. And for the first time in 5 years, I felt completely at peace with my decision. The Sterling Defense Systems building was a monument to corporate success. 40 stories of glass and steel, with my father's name etched in gold letters above the entrance. I dreamed of working here as a child. Imagine having my own office. Carrying on the family legacy. Now I was here to tear it all down. I walked through the lobby in full military dress uniform. Midnight blue with silver eagles on my shoulders. Ribbons across my chest, every medal I'd earned in 15 years of service. Heads turned. Conversations stopped. The receptionist's eyes widened as she saw my rank insignia. Colonel Sterling, she stammered. We weren't expecting ... I'm here for the board meeting. Conference room A, of course, ma'am. Right, this way. The elevator ride to the 40th floor felt like ascending to Judgment Day. When the doors opened, I saw Marcus waiting in the hallway, checking his watch. He looked up and froze. Alex, what are you doing here? And why are you in uniform? Good morning, Mr. Sterling. I'm here in my official capacity as Pentagon liaison for defense contract oversight. His face went pale. Pentagon liaison? Since? When are you ... Since 3 years ago. Didn't Dad tell you? I'm the officer who approves all major defense contracts for the Eastern Command. Marcus staggered backward. Why, you're the liaison for our contracts. Every single one. Including the $2 billion deal you're so proud of. Before he could respond, Dad appeared from his office. He took one look at my uniform and his face went through a series of expressions. Confusion, recognition, and finally terror. Alexandra, what is this? This is Colonel Alexandra Sterling, United States Army, reporting for duty. The boardroom was packed. 15 executives, 3 lawyers, and the entire senior management team. At the head of the table sat an empty chair with a placard, Pentagon liaison classification pending. I walked to that chair and sat down. The room was dead silent. Good morning, I began, my voice carrying the authority of 15 years in command. I'm Colonel Alexandra Sterling, and I'm here to discuss some irregularities in your defense contracts. Dad was sitting 3 seats away, his face ashen. Marcus stood frozen by the window, still processing what was happening. Before we begin, I continued, I need to inform you that this meeting is being recorded, and that anything you say may be used in subsequent legal proceedings. Legal proceedings? The company's chief counsel leaned forward. Colonel, what exactly is this about? I opened my briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. This is about systematic fraud, falsified testing documents, and the deliberate manufacture of substandard military equipment. The room erupted. Executives talking over each other, lawyers demanding explanations, Marcus shouting that this was impossible. I raised my hand and the room fell silent. Military command presence. It works in boardrooms too. Over the past 3 years, Sterling, Defense Systems has billed the Pentagon for premium military grade equipment while delivering materials that fail to meet basic safety standards. You forged test certificates, bribed inspectors, and knowingly shipped defective armor to active combat zones. That's impossible. Marcus finally found his voice. We test everything. We have quality control. I pulled out a photograph and slid it across the table. This is Sergeant Maria Rodriguez. She was killed in Afghanistan when her Sterling defense body armor failed to stop a single rifle round. The armor you certified as level 4 protection. Another photo. This is Lieutenant James Park. He died when his Sterling defense radio failed during a firefight, cutting off his squad's communication with base. Another photo. This is Corporal David Chun. He was killed when the Sterling defense vehicle. Plating on his Humvee was penetrated by shrapnel that should have bounced off. I kept sliding photos across the table, 23 faces. 23 soldiers. 23 families destroyed. These people died because you chose profit over protection. Because you decided that military lives were worth less than your quarterly earnings. Dad finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Alexandra, we didn't know ... double quote. You didn't know. I stood up, my voice rising. You didn't know that the armor plating you manufactured was 30% thinner than specifications? You didn't know that the radio encryption chips you installed were civilian-grade knockoffs? You didn't know that your quality control manager was falsifying test results? I pulled out a stack of documents. Because I have emails, Dad, I have bank records. I have testimony from your own employees. I know exactly what you knew and when. You knew it. The room was completely silent now. Even the lawyers had stopped taking notes. Marcus, I turned to my brother. Yesterday, you told me that military specs were overkill. You said a bulletproof vest is a bulletproof vest. You laughed about soldiers being too stupid to know the difference. Marcus was shaking. Alex, I didn't mean... You didn't mean what? That you don't care if soldiers die as long as you make money? That's not what I said. Then what did you mean? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. What could he say? That he was only joking about soldiers' lives? That he didn't really think they were stupid? That he actually cared about the people who used his equipment? We all knew the truth. Colonel Sterling, the chief counsel, said carefully, "What exactly are you proposing?" "I'm not proposing anything. I'm informing you that, as of this moment, all Sterling defense contracts with the Department of Defense are suspended pending a full criminal investigation." Criminal investigation? Dad's voice cracked. 23 counts of negligent homicide, conspiracy to defraud the United States government, falsification of federal documents, bribery of federal officials. The list goes on. I stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the city below. You know what the worst part is? I actually looked up to you, Dad. I wanted to be like you, to build something important, something that mattered. I turned back to face the room. But you taught me something valuable. You taught me that real strength isn't about making money or building empires. It's about protecting the people who can't protect themselves. Alexandra, please. Dad stood up, his hand shaking. We can fix this. We can make it right. Can you bring back Sergeant Rodriguez? Can you undo Lieutenant Park's death? Can you give Corporal Chun's children their father back? He couldn't answer. None of them could. The FBI will be here within the hour, I announced. I suggest you contact your attorneys. As I walked toward the elevator, Dad caught up with me in the hallway. Alexandra, wait. Please. I stopped but didn't turn around. I know you hate me, he said. I know I failed you as a father. But destroying the company won't bring those soldiers back. I turned to face him. You're right. It won't. But it will prevent more soldiers from dying. And it will show everyone that no one, not even family, is above the law. This will destroy us. Your mother, Marcus, everyone who works here. Hundreds of families depend on this company. And thousands of soldiers depended on your equipment. They trusted you to keep them safe, and you betrayed that trust for money. He was crying now, something I'd never seen before. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are, Dad, but sorry doesn't bring back the dead. 6 months later, I sat in a federal courthouse as the judge read the verdicts. Dad got 15 years for conspiracy and fraud. Marcus got 12 years for negligent homicide. The company was dissolved. Its assets sold to pay restitution to the families of the soldiers who died. It wasn't enough. It could never be enough. But it was justice. After the sentencing, I visited Dad in prison. He looked older, smaller, broken by the weight of what he'd done. Do you hate me? He asked. I thought about it for a long moment. No, Dad, I don't hate you. I'm disappointed in you. I'm angry at the choices you made. But I don't hate you. Can you ever forgive me? I already have, but forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. He nodded, understanding finally dawning in his eyes. You did the right thing, Alexandra. I'm proud of you. It was the first time he'd ever said those words to me. And despite everything, they still meant something. Today, I work as the Pentagon's Director of Defense Contract Integrity. My job is to make sure that what happened at Sterling Defense never happens again. I investigate fraud, prosecute corruption, and protect the soldiers who depend on military equipment to keep them alive. It's not the career I planned. It's not the life my family wanted for me. But it's the life I chose, and it's the life that matters. Sometimes people ask me if I regret destroying my family's company, if I wish I handled things differently, if I miss the money and prestige I could have had. The answer is simple. I sleep well at night. I sleep well knowing that every contract I approve, every piece of equipment I certify, every standard I enforce might save a soldier's life. I sleep well knowing that I chose duty over family, justice over profit, and honor over comfort. My father taught me that the Army was for people without real options. He was wrong. The Army is for people who choose service over self. It's for people who understand that some things are worth more than money. It's for people like me. This is my story. This is my choice. This is my honor.